Over the next 40 years, the world's population is predicted to rise from 6 billion to 9 billion people. 90% of those will live in developing countries in China and Asia Pacific, the Indian subcontinents, Southern Africa and South America. This will generate a demand for metals and minerals far greater than today's supply. The vast majority of products that a modern society needs come from metals and minerals. Houses and roads, railways and bridges, farming tools and electric bulbs. For modern mining companies like Rio Tinto, the greatest challenge of the 21st century will be to satisfy this enormous growth in worldwide demand. The first stage in the life of a mine is exploration. The aim is to find naturally occurring mineral deposits, which can be mined economically and sustainably. Finding these deposits requires a mix of experience, science, and luck. The process commences with local community consultations and obtaining specific licenses to explore for deposits and develop new mines. When exploration starts, large areas are studied using the latest satellite images, geological maps, and available records. This identifies areas of potential interest. Airborne surveys narrow down the search area even more. On the ground, exploration geologists, often working with local people, prepare more detailed surveys. They sample stream sediments, examine rock outcrops, record types of vegetation, and search for other clues to help build a three-dimensional picture of what may lie beneath. If the picture shows promise, samples of underlying rock are taken to provide a detailed geological map. But in spite of today's sophisticated technology, exploration is still a very uncertain business. For Rio Tinto, only 1 in 350 mineral prospects that are drilled results in a viable mine. Before making a decision to mine, a detailed evaluation must be made. Evaluation involves a series of integrated studies. These can be grouped under 3 headings: geological and engineering, commercial and economic, and environmental and social. The shape and depth of the mine required is dictated by the forces of nature over time. Coal was formed from plant life in prehistoric swamps and can be found in broad, flat seams that can usually be mined by open cast methods. Where concentrations are found at depth, mining is underground using shafts, inclined roadways and tunnels. The ore is extracted and brought to the surface for processing. Copper and many other metals are concentrated in rocks that burst through the Earth's crust millions of years ago as molten magma. Where this occurs near the surface, open pit mines can be developed. The study of commercial and economic issues will consider such questions as: what will it all cost? Where will the finance come from? What will the revenues be? What market share can be won? And what terms can companies like Rio Tinto negotiate with the government of the area for permission to mine? Of equal importance are environmental and social questions. What are the environmental and social considerations, and can they be sustainably managed? For example, specialist teams are recruited to study the biodiversity of a proposed site. What animal species live there? What kind of flora? What are the characteristics of the soil? Can the mine rehabilitate this land and reintroduce the same or similar features? These issues, as we shall see, are of central importance throughout the life of the mine and beyond. These studies, often costing many millions, are a huge exercise that provide a thorough assessment of a mine's potential. Only then can a decision be made on whether to go ahead. The planning and construction of a modern mine is a highly skilled engineering task. The future pit plant, buildings and transport systems must first be designed. Then comes procurement or purchasing. All the necessary equipment and services have to be purchased: bulldozers and loaders, processing plant, conveyors and many other items. Third is construction. The mine complex has to be constructed and equipped. Roads, railways, houses may need to be built. Electricity and water supplies installed, all with the minimum possible impact on the local environment and community. Only then can the vast array of machines, equipment and people be brought together and the whole operation commissioned. In open pit mining, topsoil and barren rock are first cleared and put aside so that mining can begin. This material will eventually be refilled or reshaped and then recovered with appropriate species of plant. Mining is a continuous operation. Usually work goes on day and night, 365 days a year. The ore and waste are drilled and blasted out in benches up to 20 meters thick. This creates steps which form the sides of an open pit. The ore or waste is loaded into huge trucks, often the size of a large house. These multi-million-dollar vehicles carry their heavy loads up the steep pit roads to the surface. Many ore bodies can only be accessed from underground. Rio Tinto is one of the pioneers of a technique known as block caving. This is a method in which tunnels are created directly beneath the ore body. The ore is then undercut by drilling a series of tunnels. This allows the unsupported rock to collapse under the pressure of its own weight. The first stop after mining is a primary crusher, where rocks as big as tables are crushed into pieces smaller than bricks. Conveyors take this ore from one crusher to another until it's ground even finer and mixed with water to form a slurry from which the valuable content can be obtained. Some metals and minerals then need more complex processing. One frequently used process to recover copper, lead and zinc sulfides is flotation. Chemicals and air are added to the slurry. These cause the mixture to bubble and the valuable mineral particles attach themselves to the rising bubbles. These particles are then drawn off, filtered and dried to form a concentrate. This goes through other processes such as smelting to finally liberate the metal. The remaining finely ground rock is pumped to a tailings pond. There the sand-like particles settle and eventually form a new man-made alluvial deposit. Today, industries are increasingly expected to take a responsible approach to the environment. This is especially true of mining, which can have significant environmental effects. The challenge for a modern mine is to meet society's needs today, whilst protecting the interests of generations yet to come. Environmental considerations are now built into the planning process for the entire life cycle of a mine, from construction to production, to closure, rehabilitation and beyond. Controlling pollution is essential for a modern mine. This can arise from dust and noise, or through emissions from processing plants. Advances in cleaner technologies, together with careful monitoring, have produced enormous improvements in recent years. Many mines now operate well below the limits that are legally required. Managing water is a major environmental concern, as mines often operate in regions where water is scarce. Increased efficiency and technical advances are helping to reduce the amount of water that production requires. It's also important to monitor the quality of any water recycled or released into nearby rivers and lakes. Areas that have been disturbed by mining will be re-landscaped as closely as possible to their original form. Wherever possible, rehabilitation is carried out continuously throughout the mine's working life. This was once the site of a copper mine in the United States. It now contains abundant flora and fauna and is an additional amenity for the community to enjoy. You wouldn't even know a mine has been there. Rio Tinto's mines operate in some extremely sensitive and strictly regulated areas of the world. This mine is on the borders of a major wildlife conservation area, the Kruger National Park in South Africa. This is the Kakadu National Park in northern Australia, which has contained a uranium mining operation for around 30 years. Greens Creek in Alaska is a heavily monitored wilderness area, and also the site of a major gold, silver and zinc mine. Instead of being in opposition, many environmental groups now work in partnership with mining companies. This helps to ensure that society's need for minerals and metals is balanced against broader environmental concerns. As well as behaving responsibly with regard to the environment, today's mines must also adopt responsible approaches to the societies that they affect. The arrival of a mine can have a major effect on local communities, who should also benefit from the economic prosperity such an operation can bring. Rio Tinto will carefully assess the social impacts a mine could have and try to manage the expectations of everyone who may be affected. This means being open and transparent about their plans and intentions, holding consultations, building relationships, and working to foster mutual respect. Mining companies must respect indigenous cultures and lifestyles, and work in harmony with people who may have prior rights and interests in the land, stretching back for thousands of years. In emerging countries, the arrival of a mine can also help to bring the positive benefits of infrastructure, such as roads, power, sanitation and healthcare. Local people can be given priority for jobs and practical assistance to train and qualify for them. Other important initiatives include promoting indigenous enterprises and providing opportunities for local people to develop specific commercial skills. As many of the mine's workers and suppliers will come from the local community, the mine inevitably becomes part of that community. Every operation has a finite life, and a responsible mining company must take this into account. It can assist the local community to prepare for closure by helping to promote sustainable economic activities that will survive independently of the mine. Supporting education and assisting schools, for example, can play a major role. On a larger scale, mining companies also form partnerships with the governments and peoples of the countries where they work.
The project is now at the end of the beginning, and the future still holds many challenges.
Contributing to national economies and ensuring that the benefits of mining are appropriately shared. The time from the beginning of exploration through to the evaluation of a deposit and then on to the development of a mine can be as long as 10 years. Production and mining of the ore and processing the minerals may last for a generation. Together with rehabilitation, the full life cycle of a mine can easily be 40 years or more. Every mine is a major undertaking, but all over the world people's lives are enhanced by the goods that are made from the minerals and metals that responsible mining companies like Rio Tinto produce.